This weather pattern is about to change in a very big way with our temperatures especially. We're about to have a big heat dome move. We're about to have some cool air come through everybody. Plus what's happening in the tropics and our severe weather. The outlooks are still the same for today and tomorrow on our severe weather. But what's happening over here in the south, we're about to have Tropical Storm Bertha form up any time now. Now showing still, it will turn further towards the northern Gulf, and this is where it's going to do a quick zigzag. This is where it's going to get pulled by the high pressure and then try and come back out. Still showing it's having a problem with the DNA. It's not taking that earlier turn with the ensembles, so that re-strengthening back into a strong hurricane. It is being seen by the H-Mon hurricane model. This is the old hurricane model. It is the only model that is showing that. In fact, the chances of this strengthening has gone down as well in the ensembles, everybody. Now, what we have is we have Tropical Storm Watch still out over here from the Florida Panhandle, going all the way towards southern Alabama. This is going to stretch into Mississippi, also over here into Louisiana. This will turn into warnings as we get a little bit closer. But our wind field, chances of sustained winds of 39 miles per hour, all the way up towards 73. You can see it right here along the coast of the Florida Panhandle, going right into southern Alabama, into Mississippi, into Louisiana. This is where the winds expect to be somewhere around 48 miles per hour sustained winds, not any stronger. Look how it downgrades immediately, goes down towards 45. Then as it goes by Port Sulphur and the West Bank, it downgrades again by Homa to 41 miles per hour. Now this is sustained winds. That's still strong winds. It's still going to bring a tornado threat along the Gulf Coast, but this has greatly gone down since the latest update. Now remember, we still have this heat dome going all the way to the early 20s along the West Coast, but after this is where it's going to make a move as we go through this weekend into next week across the central U.S. It's supposed to go into a negative pattern where you have it going through the central and the eastern U.S., but the latest update's been showing that a big storm system is coming over towards the Great Lakes and New England. That's going to bring cooler temperatures, but it's also going to block this big heat pattern that's going to move towards the east, and it's going to stay around the central U.S. So this heat dome is going to continue as we go through the rest of this week for the West Coast, and it's going to transition towards the central U.S. Remember, at the same time, that cool front is coming through for the Great Lakes out through the Northeast, showing this could happen twice. And you can see this according to the data. So your latest PNA, Pacific North American pattern, we stay into that positive pattern all the way towards the 23rd to 24th. Then it starts going towards that negative dip. Now a negative PNA brings us into a different weather pattern, but we have a strong system coming that's going to stop the heat from going too far towards the east. And you can see immediately once we go right back towards the 27th, we're either going right back into that heat dome right back towards the west, or it's going to stay towards the central U.S. all through the rest of July and going into August. And for those that have never been here before, this is what it looks like. We go into that positive, that big heat ridge kicking in, and it brings a trough of cool air. And when we go towards a negative pattern, it's the exact opposite. That heat ridge starts building from the central towards the eastern U.S. But I'm showing we're going to get a storm system that's going to come through over here towards the Great Lakes, out through New England, and that would bring cooler temperatures right here just because of the storms. But we still have this heat that's going to be on the move towards the central U.S. as we go through this weekend into next week. Now you see the latest information from National Hurricane Center. The watches have been extended all the way into southern Alabama, and you see the tropical storm is expected all the way still into Louisiana, but then it downgrades greatly towards a tropical depression as it goes towards Texas, and not that tropical storm it showed yesterday. Showing maximum sustained winds will go all the way towards that 50 miles per hour, and then it'll start going down from 45, 40, and 35 as it goes more inland. This is sustained winds. Now the storm surge is still the same. It's showing 1 to 3 feet over here around the bend of Florida all the way towards Indian Pass, 1 to 2 feet along the Florida Panhandle, but it goes right back towards 1 to 3 feet over here for Alabama. But you also see the rainfall rates has gone down as well, showing chances for 2 to 4 inches in that darker green, also over here for Louisiana. And the 4 to 6 inches is right along the coast of the West Bank, just really far along the coast. So it has shifted further south with the rainfall, and the intensity has gone down as well. Now, so far the latest, you can see with Weather Next Generation is blue line. You can also see with the Euro, that orange line, and then the high resolution for the Euro with that yellow, showing a really strong pull on that high pressure. Then it gets pulled back by the ridge. But this has shifted further towards the north. Now, the latest information shows a weakening, everybody. Now, we're still seeing that tropical storm strength. This is an automatic tropical cyclone forecast. And you can see with all of them trending anywhere from a weak to a strong tropical storm up to that 50-knot winds. And we do have one showing a chance for a Cat 1 hurricane. At this time, this is literally an outlier, everybody. You can even see with the Euro ensembles that this has greatly gone down. So now, instead of a chance for a low-grade Cat 1 hurricane, ensembles took it all the way down to where it's going to have problems even holding tropical storm strength. And you can see this with the latest run with the Euro. So as we move into early Tuesday morning, this is where you're getting a lot of winds pushing us further towards the north on this high pressure on the east. This is going to pin it further towards the northern Gulf. And the winds coming from that ridging is a little bit weaker, but they're still there. Then it transitions the winds there. Then it starts getting the shear, the dry air into the northern side of it and weakens it down greatly, and it don't recover back. Showing the dry air is still entrained in the system and is having a really rough time getting it out. Then the shear gets involved, and you can see on the northern side, it just loses all of its precipitation on the northern side of this storm system, bringing no impacts except some banding that's coming across for the panhandle of Florida that could linger into Alabama as well. A little bit weaker on the latest update before this shifts towards Louisiana, bringing y'all some banding, tornado threat as well. But you see how there's no precipitation to the north. This really limits not only the rainfall, but any of the impacts. Now you can see this with the latest update with the hurricane analysis forecast system model. This was made for this system, everybody. Showing it loses its strength as it goes through late Tuesday into Wednesday. And it tries to redo its center. It tries to get its eye vertically stacked again as it's getting sheared further south. It tries to bring that low further south to get vertically stacked, and showing it just cannot hold itself together. And this is the latest information, everybody. Showing the latest information with hurricane analysis forecast system B as well. This storm is about to have a lot of problems. But there is a trend that we need to watch between two models. These are the old hurricane models, the H-Wharf and the H-Mon. They're the older models. I don't mean that they're wrong, though. But you see right here with the H-Wharf showing it could re-intensify as it heads further north, right towards the Florida Panhandle, late Tuesday overnight into Wednesday morning, and then weaken down greatly and just get demolished by the shear and the dry air. You can even see with the H-Mon, another older model, showing almost the same thing. It shifts a little bit further towards the west, a little bit stronger, pulling from that ridging, but you see how it weakens down right afterwards also. Now, before this showed a hurricane that's going to intensify up and then maybe a hurricane later on. This was an older forecast that was running last night. This model is running late. It's playing catch up. That is not the trend anymore. The trend is a more northern push and a weaker outcome. In fact, as we look at all the ensembles instead of all the guessing, you can see in the picture graphs, each one of those lines strengthening up, showing chances for this to intensify on 1, 2, 3, maybe even a fourth one. The rest of these are showing chances for a tropical storm to hit as it goes by Florida Panhandle towards Alabama and Mississippi, then curving by Louisiana. And look how quickly that weakens down, everybody. Also, look what is left. Right afterwards, we are down to 2 and a maybe down here all the way on the southern side. Feels like we're playing spades. We got 2 and a possibility. When we go by the other 25, you can see the same thing. Showing us having problems with the dry air in the shear, but we are seeing in a few more where we're seeing 3, maybe even up to 5 of them, showing this could strengthen, while the rest of them show a great weakening, everybody, from the shear and the dry air. Then, after Louisiana, this one's showing a little bit more. It's showing 5 of them could keep that strength as it goes further towards that west. You see that? So that literally would make this one about a 25% chance of this happening. But together we have about 7 or 8 of them. And literally that brings you about a 15 to a 20% chance of this staying further towards the west. So it has gone down overnight. Still, we need to watch it, but I still think this has gone down greatly. Latest update for a tropical storm still shows chances for 50, even at 60% chance. But when you check chances for a hurricane, it has greatly gone down. Maybe 10 to maybe a 20% chance. That 20 to 30 has disappeared altogether. Now, we'll keep you updated this afternoon. This is going to flip-flop around, but as of the latest update, that northern push is what's weakening it down. And you can see here from the latest run that we still have that severe weather coming through for today across the Great Lakes, out through for tomorrow for the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic, still bringing a tornado threat, a wind threat, and hail threat. But it's also bringing that big ridge of heat along the west and the cooler temperatures coming across for that. Now, remember, as we go through later this week into this weekend, this is where the heat's going to be on the move across the central U.S., and it's going to try and make itself across the eastern U.S., showing we're more likely going to have a storm system coming through from the Great Lakes out through the Northeast. This will bring cooler temperatures because of the storms and change our weather pattern again. Possibly, this is going right after 8-9 days as we go towards the end of July. It could bring another cool down, maybe 10 to 15 degrees below average temperatures, while that heat dome stays along the west, and it wants to go across the central and the eastern U.S., but that deep trough really stops it. So as we go through the middle of this week, this is where the cooler air comes through, the lower level temperatures from the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, out through the Northeast, while you stay very hot still along the west. This is that ridging I warned you about a long time ago. And you see how it tries to transition across as we go into that negative PNA through this weekend. And then as we go through next week, maybe another deep trough of a storm system. Now, according to the data, this will go further towards the east with the heat. We're literally going 7 days at this point. I will keep you updated. So before we go into the severe weather, here's the temperatures you can expect, everybody, for today for your highs. We have the 90s going all the way towards Ohio Valley, even the 80s towards the Great Lakes, and the 90s towards the southeast, with the high 70s because of the storms going towards New England. But we have 100 towards 105 degrees going all the way towards the central U.S. and the high 90s, even 100 to 105 towards the southwest, and the high 90s and 100s going towards the northwest. Now remember, we have a strong heat index value, so it's going to feel like 105 plus degrees all the way towards Nebraska into Iowa, southern Minnesota as we go through for today. Now, overnight, you're going to get some relief across the north central. It's going to be in the 60s, and for New England, this is about to dramatically change. For tomorrow, the heat's going to stay across the central and the south central, 100 towards 105 degrees plus. Remember, these temperatures are taken in the shade, while the 90s go across the southeast, even portions of the mid-Atlantic, and over 100 for the southwest, and the 90s still climbing towards the northwest. Once again, our heat index value for tomorrow, you're going to feel anywhere from 110 degrees plus over here from multiple states. It is going to be very sticky and muggy. Be aware of this. Now, overnight tomorrow into Wednesday morning, this is where the 60s and the high 50s, they come in a little bit further. And then for Wednesday, you can see your highs are staying in the 70s now across the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, out through the northeast, while the 90s and 100s still persist across the west, the south, and the southeast. But once again, your heat index value for Wednesday, you're still going to feel like 110 to 115 degree temperatures with all this humidity. Please be aware. Please hydrate early. And you can see as you go through Thursday morning, a very cool anomaly pushing through, everybody. But once again, it's going to heat back up. For Thursday, you're going to stay in the 70s with that cooler anomaly across the Great Lakes, out through the northeast. But the heat is going to persist still across the southeast, south central, across the west, all the way across the north central into Canada. And your heat index value is still going to feel like 110 degrees, maybe towards 115 degrees across the south. Also still the heat across the west. And once you go into this weekend, the cooler air is still going to be there, but this is where it's going to be on the move. And you can see this for Friday. Your highs, you stay in those 70s, but you still have all this heat still kicking from the central, the south, the west, all the way into Canada. And with your heat index value, once again, another very muggy day. This week is about to get very hot. Plus our severe weather for today, chances for tornadoes, still significant severe in this black hashed area. That's chances for an EF2 tornado. So here's your cities and states at risk for a tornado threat for today. Also the wind threat, even strong winds over here for North Carolina, but significant severe over here in the black hashed area. Chances for 75 miles per hour wind gusts, 80 in the red. So here's your cities and states at risk for the wind threat for today. And the hail threat as well. Still significant severe. Chances for 2 inches in diameter in the black hashed area. So here's your cities and states at risk for the hail threat for today. Still showing as we go through this evening, we're going to get some strong storms coming through from southeastern Minnesota, coming through Wisconsin, and you can see with your significant tornado perimeters, that factors in dew points, wind shear, a lot of things, your temperatures. It just factors in the best atmosphere to get a chance for a tornado. So we need to watch these cells from the early afternoon coming across central and southern Wisconsin. Then it builds up again over here for northern Wisconsin, and all that goes in Illinois and Michigan as you go through later on this evening. Now that's going to turn into a wind event while you get some strong storm cells coming through over here for North Carolina, peeling off through the east rather quickly. Once you go through later tonight, then we get another round that builds up over here for northern Illinois into Michigan, and this is where we still have chances for tornadoes to come along that front, everybody. So these cells coming through for later this evening will pose a risk for a tornado threat again over here for northern Illinois. Then as you go through overnight, it loses its stability. It brings regular thunderstorms across, bring chances for winds with them as well. But for tomorrow, this strengthens right back up, starting off in Indiana. Then it strengthens up through the evening, going through northern Kentucky, going through Ohio, some of New Jersey as well. Now we need to watch these storms that are pulling in front of this linear event that could easily spin up a chance for a tornado for tomorrow. And you can see this with your significant tornado perimeters. It really strengthens up a factor right there with those storms along the coast for a chance for a tornado as these storms move further towards the east as well. Then once we get around 2 and 3 o'clock, it really lights up. Multiple areas with multiple chances not only for damage and winds, also a tornado threat that comes through for tomorrow evening. A rather big threat. I think we will see a moderate section. Then as you go through for tomorrow night, it turns into more strong winds over here moving across for New England, while you get another group of thunderstorms moving across for Tennessee and Kentucky Valley. The whole time you're getting storms over here across the four corners for today and especially for tomorrow. So for tomorrow, for Tuesday, we have that tornado threat. We have a big 2% and a 5%. So far, here's your cities and states at risk for that. Also, the wind threat that's coming with it. Chances for 75, even 80 miles per hour wind gusts. So here's your cities and states at risk for the wind threat for tomorrow also. And the hail threat. It is on the lower end, but you still have the threat. So here's your cities and states at risk for the hail threat for tomorrow. So I will see this afternoon for the latest update. Everybody remember this is going to turn into Tropical Storm Bertha for today. Is going to strengthen up. Then as it reaches towards Louisiana, more likely going to get that shear and that dry air and then trained inside of it. And the northern side, it won't have a lot of precipitation, but you still have chances for the winds. So be aware of the chances of the winds and the tornado threat, which will be over here along the Louisiana coast. Probably over here along Alabama and Mississippi as well. But as far as the strengthening up towards a hurricane going further west, that has downgraded in the latest updates. I will keep you updated. Thank you for your time. Thank you all mostly for your support, everybody. And remember, any of those that needing guidance from God, all you got to do is talk to him. He's sitting there waiting for you. Before I go, a quick word from our Father, everybody. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Amen. Have a great day, everybody. If you're in a threat from the Florida Panhandle into Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana, please prepare for tropical storm impacts. This is bringing onshore flooding. It's also bringing a tornado threat and the winds. But as far as this strengthening up towards a hurricane, that has downgraded greatly from what I can see. There's a few outliers that still showing this could be a Cat 2 hurricane. I'm not believing that with the data, everybody. There's a lot of strong winds. There's a lot of shear and dry air getting in the northern side of this system. However, things can always change in the Gulf. You never turn your back to the Gulf. So we'll see you for another update this afternoon. Above all things, all glory does go to God, our Father in heaven, Yahweh. And I always hope he keeps you safe every single day of your life and forever. Amen. Hallelujah. Amen. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you again this afternoon.